Welcome to ASEAN TV. My guest today is Ross Hunter, who is the Executive Director of the UK-ASEAN Business Council, and he's here to tell us more about this region of the world. So, hi Ross, thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
So, as a starting point, we've heard that in the next month or so, there's going to be a formalised trade agreement between the ASEAN markets to set up a kind of EU-style trading agreement. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that and what that means for exporters?
Absolutely, it's exciting times because the ASEAN Economic Community, the AEC, comes into being at the end of this month. It's been a long time coming, and what it hopes to create is a homogenous trading bloc of some 630 million consumers that will remove the tariff barriers so that once you're in ASEAN you can trade amongst it, and so you benefit there from not having to pay different tariff barriers for every market you go into. It comes into being at the end of the month, but it's an ongoing process, so it won't quite be there, but it's a journey towards something that's going to be a really powerful trading bloc in the world.
Okay, and maybe I probably jumped ahead a little bit by not just explaining which exactly countries this includes. It's probably important to let everybody know where we're talking about here.
Well, ASEAN stands for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, so the 10 markets, which you're going to test me now to go through, and I'm sure I'll miss out one, so apologies if I do offend anyone, but they include the likes of the more developed markets, so Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia and Vietnam, and then ranging down to some of the frontier markets that we have there in Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and certainly not a frontier market, but Brunei at the end there as well.
Okay, and in terms of the opportunities there for kind of businesses coming from Europe, from America, what are the kind of options, what are the opportunities there in those markets?
We don't care about business coming from Europe or America. We're about British companies. So for the British companies, the beauty of ASEAN is that there's something there for everyone. It's like the proverbial box of chocolates. As I mentioned, you've got developed markets at the top there, ranging from Singapore down to the frontier markets where you can have much lower cost base for manufacturing there as well. So there really is something there for everyone. It depends on your product, whether you want to manufacture there, whether you want to export into the consumer base there. Indonesia, for example, just alone has 230 million people there, so it's a massive market there as well. There's different types of political systems there to be aware of as well, but there really is something there for every British exporter.
And if we're talking, obviously it's a region, it's different countries, just like we have in Europe, they're not all the same, but there must be some similarities and some common ground. How do you balance out the two between going into the region but making sure that you're appropriate for each market and tailoring your strategy?
And again, that's going back to the beauty of it as well. They are a region pretty much joined by geography alone. There are commonalities there in some of the histories there, but you've got communism in there, you've got monarchies in there, you've got military coups at the moment as well. So there really is very different angles there. So what you have to do to base yourself in the region is to see, first of all, win business in that market you want to go into, and then look to springboard into wider ASEAN from there. And each market is an individual market, so you're going to have to do your homework on each individual market. But what I would say is don't do it on your own. There's help out there as well, and two key sources of help that are available for British companies out there are the British Chambers of Commerce, based in each individual market, and also UK Trade and Investment, part of the British government as well. So don't do it alone, that's all I would say.
Yeah, and maybe pick your first market and test the waters, get some experience, and then branch out a little bit.
Absolutely, and if exporting is the way to the market first of all, then look to export there first of all, and then ideally you would go and invest there as well, because it's not worth exporting so much there when you can serve production base there as well.
Absolutely, and then obviously we kind of always have to talk about the internet now. That obviously makes export or gives more opportunities for businesses targeting new countries and helps them get out there. And again, it's a region; it's not going to be the same across it. But in general, how kind of developed is the online presence there? What kind of internet penetration do we see?
Internet penetration is really good and growing massively as well. So hardlined internet is growing phenomenally across the region. But also a lot of the markets there are island based as well. So Indonesia has 17,000 islands. Philippines has 9,000 islands. So you're going to have a mobile technology there as well. So most people have 2 mobile phones, if not 3 mobile phones. So they're communicating. The social media there is massive. E-commerce is something that's an interesting dynamic. In some of the markets, it's very big. In others, it's just not. Philippines, for example, it's very a mall-based culture. Part of their culture is to go as a family to on a Saturday or Sunday to go and look around the mall, the experience, the eating, the shopping. So e-based commerce there is not very well developed, primarily as well because the traffic is so bad as well. So getting your products around is going to take a long time.
Yeah, so you have to think very carefully about that kind of the difference between the markets, the cultural differences there, and making sure that you're giving the right solution for that market.
Absolutely, but again, we are where we are now, but then going forward, I mean, e-commerce is going to have to come into those markets. It's a given, I think.
So is it a good time now for kind of retailers, e-commerce businesses to be starting to develop a presence there? And
I think it's down in the individual market. I think it's a dip a toe in the water. I think for some markets it might be too soon for them as well. But again, technology needs to be brought to the people as well. So that's what I would say is disruptive technology that's going to bring the product to the customer is out there. And I mean, Uber, for example, is in pretty much all of the markets. So there is e-commerce already in those markets.
Yeah, and that's it. That's kind of my next question about just the general consumer behaviour, the consumer trends. Are they interested in? Are they kind of looking for products and ideas from overseas? Are they quite outward looking and ready for that and ready to see what the world has to offer them? Very
much so, especially Brand Britain. Brand Britain at the moment is really big over there as well. You've never seen the Union flag in so many different places, with people carrying it on their handbags, to on stickers on cars, to the English Premier League out there. It's on the back of the successful Olympics, the royal weddings, the royal birth. Brand Britain is fantastic out there, and the products that we sell in the UK, they're really selling themselves on quality and that consistency of brand as well. So Brand Britain has never been better out there as well. And
are there any really kind of cultural specifics that maybe do apply across the whole region, where it differs from Britain and Europe and that kind of thing, where if you're doing business there you really need to be aware of?
I think it goes back to the humble sandwich. So in the UK, we'll have a business lunch and we'll throw in a few sandwiches there. Food is very much part of the culture over there as well. So if you do go over there, you'll be taken to a lunch and it could be quite a long lunch as well. So embrace it. Enjoy the wonderful food out there. Yeah. Talk about, as you would do with anyone, we talk about their families if you can talk about it. Talk about football. Yeah. Football, they love football out there, except the Philippines where it's very much more basketball. But again, it's understanding those as well. So if you're looking at taking a gift, maybe a football shirt or something like that, if you can work out which team they are. So it's understanding how much affinity they have to the UK. Certainly there's Commonwealth countries there, so Singapore, Malaysia, Brunei, they're all former Commonwealth countries, so have a natural affinity to the UK. Yeah. Whereas the Philippines is very much linked back to the US, so it's understanding those individual markets as well. But I would start off with a conversation on football in most markets. Yeah, often seems to go down well. It's Manchester United, I'm sure, gets mentioned. It does, it does. But also, again, Thailand owns a couple of football clubs as well. You've got Malaysians owning some of the football clubs as well. So again, even more of an interest. Absolutely, yeah. And are there any particular industries and sectors that are doing really well in that region at the moment? I think, certainly UK-TO have identified around 6 sectors that across the region that are doing particularly well there, or where we have identified there's opportunity for British companies out there. So we're looking at life sciences, medical devices, education. The need for English language training across the region is massive. Advanced engineering, so Rolls-Royce make their engines out in Singapore as well, which is, I think there's only 3 places outside the UK they do that as well. Financial services across the region as well, financial and professional services, and creative and digital. The UK is phenomenal at creative and digital, as exemplified here as well. So again, it's something that we can sell into those markets and help them develop their expertise as well. Yeah, so definitely a lot of opportunities. Absolutely. And a broad range of sectors there. Any final tips you would have? Anything we haven't covered that's really key that people should know if they're going to look to these markets? I would, again, if you're looking to do business there, is invite them back to the UK as well. That's a real part of that process of building the good business relationships with them as well. And going back to my food point, don't serve them sandwiches when you come over here. Conversely, don't just serve them their food as well. So think about the kind of giving them a cultural experience. Exactly. Take them to a football match and give them a pie and a pint, something like that as well. But again, it's about building those relationships as well and bringing them back to the UK. Right, well, it sounds like it's definitely an interesting time for the region and lots of opportunities there. So. It is. Get out there. Just go on a holiday at first and experience the region, and I guarantee you'll go back there. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for talking to us. Thank you. Thanks, that's great.